All right, let's go to Ed. He's talking about the Ron Washington situation. He says a lot of the same criticisms were leveled at Joe Torre
in terms of being out of touch.
Yeah,
with baseball.
Yeah, I think so.
He had been away for a while.
Exactly.
Well, Ron Johnson has quite the rep as a teacher, but Ron Johnson has not been a decision maker in baseball with this new breed of player and agent and rules and analytics in more than a decade. It's just, to me, really a surprise hire. But the more I dug overnight, the more I came up with the theory maybe Ron Washington, I should say, is just the guy to groom the next manager, and the next manager might well be Torrey Hunter, former Angel, former Twin, very intelligent, very popular guy. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it kind of does. I mean, that was when you mentioned that, I went, oh, okay, that does make sense. Because Ron Washington, I mean, that takes a lot of energy, a lot of time on the road. And you said, how old is he? He's in his
71.
71.
Oldest manager in baseball.
Yeah.
Now with Dusty Baker having retired.
That's a lot to ask. So if this is part of, Artie Moreno's scheme to have like a succession plan, hey, that might work out.
Okay, next question.
Okay, let's hit some of these social media comments. Got some really good ones in here. And let's start here with a little bit about the Ducks. This is from Eliso Viejo Avalanche. He says, so far, so good for these young Ducks. Great discussion and analysis.
Surprise team so far. Now, they did get shut out by the Pittsburgh Penguins at home after having won 4 in a row on the road. Got to keep people healthy. I think that more than anything else. But I'm still waiting for a few of these other veterans to really get it going. Silverberg has just not been the same player. Enrique had a good bounce-back season last year after a year of injuries. Troy Terry is carrying them up front. The young kid, Leo Carlson's playing well. What they're getting done on the defense with Mintyukov, the young Russian defenseman, has been kind of a surprise because he's only 19. It is a long season, but hey, so far so good. And by the way, speaking of puck, the guys above them, LA Kings, off to a 7-2-2 start.
Nice.
That's pretty impressive.
That is impressive. I mean, so we were kind of in the doldrums for a little while in SoCal hockey, but now it's a big resurgence.
We move on. You got something here on Fans Forum. Let us know. Go ahead, John.
Okay, let's get a Clipper comment here from Gary. And he says, reports are saying that James Harden and Westbrook already fought in practice.
I've not heard that, so that might be a reach. I think the bigger question that we have to address is how are they going to carve up the minutes between Harden and Westbrook? Because they're kind of the same position guy. So that becomes the question. You're not going to play them together, I don't think. Maybe injuries will have something to do with it. But Harden's on kind of a minutes cap, at least early on, because he missed so much time in training camp. You don't want him to suffer a hamstring injury or a quad injury because he's not truly in game shape. So I think dividing the minutes will be kind of interesting to see how the Clippers handle this going forward. So far, so good. I mean, Kawhi Leonard's healthy. Paul George, for the most part, is healthy. Did have a setback the other night. They've lost Mason Plumlee, their backup center, who gave them tough guy minutes off the bench. He's gone for 3 to 4 months with a sprained knee. So that's kind of a setback in terms of their depth and their numbers. But let's just look at the box scores every game and see if the minutes between RW, Westbrook, and JH, Harden, I am the system, whether those minutes are balanced out or whether Harden starts to play a lot more minutes going forward.
Do you think there's any scenario where all 4 superstars and 1 big man could be on the court at the same time?
Injuries play a part in that.
Yeah.
If one of those bigs goes down, gets hurt, maybe. I mean, does Paul George then become a forward? Kawhi become a forward? I'd be an intriguing matchup. But last I checked, both those guys in the backcourt need the basketball in their hands.
Yeah.
And I don't know how that works because there's only 1 basketball on the floor, isn't there? Still, they haven't changed that rule.
They don't change that one.
Carry on.
Moving on. Let's talk about the Dodgers. This is from Triple Taylor. He says Kershaw was kept 2 seasons too long. I would like to see Bauer back, and the reports came out, but that's probably a long shot. Got to get Ohtani at all costs. You will make it back tenfold.
I think Ohtani is item 1. Everybody that kind of canvass is of the opinion Ohtani is going to be a Dodger Stadium. Now they're going to have to go find at least one more veteran pitcher, if not two. Now, maybe those are lower level rental guys. Bauer, that Trevor Bauer, that history with Trevor Bauer, that'd be a tough reach for me. Hell, Trevor Bauer to the Padres, a low budget prove yourself contract. I guess we'll have to. I'll just throw this out there, and you people can think about this on the live stream, and then come back next Monday if you want. Would you touch Trevor Bauer if you were a Dodger, a Padre, or an Angel executive, and they all need some type of frontline pitching? Would you touch Trevor Bauer? You think about that and you join us. Go ahead. Next question.
Okay, let's move on here. Let's go.
You didn't answer the question.
Well, the question, sure. Well, first of all, I think there's no way the Dodgers can go back on their word, when they let him go. But now that all the news has come out, you're not inheriting as much baggage as you thought you were. The Padres need a pitcher. Does Seidler have unlimited money? I don't know, but Preller could surprise us here.
I don't know. Based on the fact you don't have any scruples, I guess I understand what you're saying. Go ahead.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit here about, this is a good comment. This is from Kress. And he says, he's talking about those that failed in the MLB playoffs. He says, I'm proud of my Phillies. Enjoy this, bashing my Phillies. Save failures when your Oilers don't win the Stanley Cup this season, and my New Jersey Devils do. Also, when Jack Hughes is league MVP.
Jack Hughes, a great hockey player. New Jersey has flipped their team in about a 2-year span thanks to the draft and veteran free agent acquisitions. Philadelphia had a really, really good season, but just kind of stopped hitting right there at the end. I was kind of surprised. But as we had talked on prior podcasts, I was surprised at the whole scenario as to who wasn't there come World Series time. No Atlanta, no Philadelphia. Obviously, no San Diego, and the Mets and Yankees, we have the explanations as to them being devastated with injuries. But yeah, congratulations to Texas, but it was really a strange outcome because nobody aside from somebody maybe married to Torey Lovallo or Bruce Bochy would have thought that Texas-Arizona could have been the World Series.
Yeah, that was crazy. No one expected that at all. The Phillies were rolling. But what's interesting with New Jersey sports, sometimes I'm a West Coast guy, and I kind of forget how close South Jersey is to Philly.
Oh, yeah.
And so, and North Jersey is probably more connected to New York. And so some of these allegiances, how fans line up is kind of interesting to me.
Oh, there's a lot of split families there, too.
Yeah.
Somebody roots for the Mets. What the hell's wrong with you? Go back upstairs to your bedroom. I'm rooting for the Phillies. Carrying on. Okay, we got to get in some of these Raider comments. And this one's from George. And he says, Lee, as the play-by-play announcer for the Chargers and San Diego State many years, I know you saw some terrible football. What you didn't see is loyalty. That's what we have. We don't always like the ownership decisions, players, coaches, and game outcome, but we do our part, which is to get loud on game day. Raiders Nations for life, from the Bay to LA to Las Vegas. Oh, anybody needs an excuse to put paint on, wear a costume, and get drunk. That's okay. I have no problem with fan. Fan equals fanatical, right? Mm-hmm. But little common sense kind of missing in the Raider Nation. You don't hold anybody responsible for how pathetic the franchise has been for all those years, from Mark Davis taking over to the last 10 years with Al Davis. You're rare unto yourself, costumes included. I don't know very many fan bases that would tolerate the incompetence, the, as he would say, dysfunction of the Raider Nation. But you're entitled to do whatever you want. I just don't understand why these fans are paying those prices to see bad product on the field, or you're just paying those prices to get drunk and wear your costume. I don't know, John.
Well,
bail me out of this one.
Yeah, it on one level, it seems utterly ridiculous the way they show up dressed like Darth Vader and like these comic book people. But you know what? You got to give props to the loyalty,
Yeah.
And that's what they really believe. It's that, it's Raider Nation. It's like, it's built into their DNA. One of the guys on social media was saying, you can wear your Raider jersey, you'd be in Europe, you're going to run into some other fan and they're going to say, hey, what's up? So this is definitely a legit family. And it's cool to see, like, when the Cubs fans, they stunk, but they always showed up. And here the Raiders fans are that way. It doesn't matter how good or bad the team is, they're in it for life.
Okay, we'll accept your rationale to be who you are, dress the way you are, and act the way you are, Raider Nation, as long as you're part of my team, which means, again, you got to join us by going to my website and become. Can you imagine people wearing that gear to one of our Raider Insider or one of our insider group? Want you to join Hacksaw's Insider group, which we're just starting. A couple more here.
Okay, let's get this USC comment here. And this is from E. Gonzalez. He says, very disappointing season. Alex Grinch had to go. Lincoln Riley will be under pressure to hire a defensive coordinator that will bring respectability back to the USC defense. Next season's brutal schedule won't help, but Riley is being paid top dollar to make sure USC competes for championships. Lower tier bowl games just won't cut it.
He said this week, after the firing of Alex Grinch, I promise you I will build a nationally ranked defense. We will hold you to that. As soon as you're done getting your brains blown out up at Oregon, we will hold you to that in the offseason. But why would you not be able to go hire a great defensive mind? It's USC with maybe as many resources as anybody in America, with the tradition and the history of the Trojans, and fight on. Link Riley owes the Trojan Club a better defense.
Back in the Pete Carroll era and Reggie Bush and Liner, did they have a really good defense back then?
Very active defense, but they just outgunned everybody.
Right.
Now, the great defenses were the say-out defenses. Mm-hmm. And then the great defenses were way before that. David Lewis and Ronnie Lott. Now, that goes back to the McKay era, which is a few third downs ago.
Yeah.
But, but it's USC. If you can do that in the transfer portal on offense, you should be able to do that. Yeah, or at least you develop them.
Yes.
You got access to so many great athletes. You develop them into all
transfer portal. Bring them on,
I agree. Hey, look.